So let's roll right into story number 2. Still got some gameplay. I'm sure this is gonna be the final actually. But so story number 2. This is like a just kind of a representation. But so I had a friend who at one point had like broken his tooth. Well, he was riding a bike, and like I hadn't really thought much of it. Honestly, it was just kind of a he had broken his tooth. It happens. Kids do kid things, and basically he told me about it, and I was like, that I don't know. Oh, wait, that's the wrong button. Shit. So what had happened was he was riding his bike, and he had just basically like hit a stump and just kind of fallen over. And that's like the whole story right there. Is he was just riding through the woods on a trail ride, and boom, stump, falling over. I keep pressing the dive button, not the grab button. Yeah, it's gone. Boom. So what I like to do was put a little embellishment on it, because like, why not? If you're gonna have a hurt, if you're gonna be wounded, and what happened to him is he cracked his tooth in half, and what he just like always had like a chipped tooth, and I think he got it filled, but it was just never like as pretty as just like the normal tooth. But I would love to like mix it up. So what started as he hit a branch, fell over and chipped it, ended up the first time I told it was like, oh dude, he actually hit a squirrel. And this flying squirrel just came out of nowhere and just like made him crash and domed him, and you would not believe it. So he was mobbing down this hill, and then all of a sudden, boom, squirrel just like into his face and just like beats the shit out of him, and you would not believe it. It was crazy. He just hit the squirrel, bam, face down on the ground. That's how he broke his tooth. But then, just like every time I told it, every time he was like, oh, it's a weird embellishment you put on it, Drew. I was like, yeah, of course. Gotta spice it up a little bit. So after that, then it became not just one squirrel, but it was multiple squirrels. So one squirrel became 2, 2 became 4, and like 4 being the whole family, maybe a couple more. I don't know. They just came out of nowhere. What had happened was he was actually riding his bike because he had gone to the squirrel home, grabbed their famous squirrel nuts, and he wanted to make sure that he could keep those. So he just was riding off into the sunset, but they weren't having it. They come up and they just, bam, they get him, and they want to dominate and dome this kid because he's got their famous squirrel nuts. It was crazy. You would never believe it. You wouldn't believe it if you saw it, because it never did happen. But then it became like family of squirrels. He was riding a motorcycle as opposed to a bicycle. It wasn't just a little back trail. It was like an off-road obstacle course. Oh man, it was crazy how like it would progress. And like, I'll never forget it, just because like that was where I think my like storytelling as a young lad really started to flourish, was just telling the story of my friend Keith, and him just getting like rocked by these squirrels, and how his teeth ended up a little bit mangled. And like, because I would tell these stories in the ways that I would, he liked to say that like, oh, that was my fault. Like every time I told the story, like, oh, his teeth started to hurt just a little bit more because he had more involvement in the story, and it was just one of those things. I like to really put some flourish on it and put a little extra spin, because like everyone needs a little bit of a good story in their life, because why not, right? So that's where like I really started to develop my ability to put a little flair on it, make everything a little bit more interesting, because Keith, maybe not the most most interesting individual, but still my best friend. Sometimes you just had to put a little extra something on the story to spice it up. Like, you were this bad bitch who just fucked up a family of squirrels, because like, why not? It's all about it. So that's my story with Keith. He I would just take this a simple basis of riding through, hit a branch, fell over, boom, cracked teeth. That's all it comes down to. To He was mobbing through the forest, and he was on his like KZ 1000 motorcycle, and he was jetting through. He had just pulled off the mad heist of all times. Basically, he had gone into the squirrel home base. He had infiltrated. He had gotten their golden nuts, and they weren't happy. They weren't having it. They wanted those nuts so damn bad, and they would not get rid of them. They would not let go of them. They would not let this person on a motorcycle just come in and just steal him. It was nuts. Pun intended. It was crazy nuts. They were just mobbing after it. They were flying squirrels. He was jetting. They were gliding. He was bombing. They were going, and it was just back and forth. He would gun it, and they would just get a glimpse of air, and they would be mobbing down, and they would finally catch up to him. They'd be on his back. He'd be fighting them off, and he'd just be like, "Bam, bam, get off me, squirrels! I don't need you. I can't have you on here. That's not what I'm talking about." He was resilient. He wanted those golden nuts so damn bad. He would not get rid of them. And then eventually, they overpowered him. It was crazy. Who would have thought? So many squirrels, so little, but so much impact. As a team, they know how to conquer, and they know how to plan his demise. It's quite sad. I don't know if he'll ever recover, but they were on him, and they were bringing him down, and they were going for the spokes. They were going for his feet. They were trying to. Whatever it was, whatever cost it was, they wanted him down, and they were not going to give up until they had their golden nuts back. Oh, you would never want to see it again. Bloodbath. They were biting. They were scratching. They were clawing. That ball was coming at me. They were ready to fight to the death to get those nuts back. And that's the story. And I hope you enjoyed that. Keith, if you ever do see this, recollect your favorite time, because I know that there was a time when you really enjoyed hearing that story, and how it ever progressed, because like it was fun, all in good fun, because why not, right? What do we have to lose? We were sitting there at the lunch table, just trying to have a good time, just reminiscing, shooting the shit, drinking our milk, eating our chicken sandwiches. It was a good time. And I just fell down again. So that's the story of that. I hope you all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun telling it throughout the years, because it was never the same story twice. And I just like to, pimp the hell out of Keith, because like he deserved it. My man was like my best friend, and he still is my best friend. And I hope that he's doing well, because his tooth, I mean, it was fixed, but like, it was only so much. So, thank you for joining me. This has been Story Time with Drew. Late night tales from the Strep family, and late night tales from Big D with the heavy flow. So, have yourself a wonderful night, everybody, and smooches.